Sigma males don't argue. They don't fight for relationships. They don't give multiple chances. But they do give one final warning before they disappear from your life forever. Most people miss it completely. And by the time they realize what happened, it's already too late. Here's what you need to understand about Sigma males. When they're done with you, they're done. Completely, permanently, no going back. But they're not impulsive. They don't cut people off in anger. They don't make emotional decisions they regret later. Before they remove you from their life forever, they give you one final warning. One last signal that you're about to lose access permanently. The problem is that this warning doesn't look like a warning. It doesn't sound like anger. It doesn't feel like an ultimatum. So most people completely miss it. If you've ever had a Sigma male suddenly disappear from your life and you didn't understand why, this video will explain exactly what you missed. 1. The sudden calmness. The first warning sign is the sudden calmness. And this is where most people get confused because they interpret it as things getting better. Here's what happens. You've been violating boundaries, demanding too much, being too needy, creating too much drama. Whatever the specific issue is, it's been building. The Sigma male has probably mentioned it, not dramatically, not emotionally, just stated the issue clearly. I need more space. This dynamic isn't working. You're asking for more than I can give. Most people hear these statements but don't take them seriously, because the Sigma male isn't angry when he says them. He's just factual, so it doesn't feel urgent. Then something shifts. The tension that was there suddenly disappears. The Sigma male stops mentioning the issues, stops setting boundaries, stops expressing any frustration or concern. Most people interpret this as progress. We worked through it. Things are better now. He's finally accepting the relationship as it is. That's not what's happening. What's happening is the Sigma male has made his decision. He's cutting you off, but he hasn't executed yet. He's in the transition phase between deciding and acting. And during that phase, he becomes completely calm. Because he's no longer invested in fixing the situation. He's no longer trying to make the relationship work. He's already gone emotionally. He's just still physically present. This calmness is the final warning. This is him telling you without words, I've already left. You just don't know it yet. The arguments stop because he stopped caring enough to argue. The boundary setting stops because he's no longer trying to maintain a sustainable relationship. The frustration disappears because he's no longer frustrated. He's just waiting for the right moment to make the exit physical. Most people completely miss this warning because it feels like relief. The conflict is gone. The tension is gone. Everything seems fine. But to a Sigma male, this calmness is the loudest warning he'll ever give. He's telling you through his sudden peace that he's made an irreversible decision. If you see a Sigma male suddenly become completely calm after a period of expressed concerns, pay attention. That's not peace. That's detachment. And detachment is the final stage before permanent removal. 2. The shortened responses. The second warning is in communication patterns, specifically how his responses suddenly become minimal. Sigma males are naturally concise communicators. They don't waste words. But when they're engaged with you, their responses have substance. They provide information. They engage with what you're saying. They participate in the conversation. When they're preparing to cut you off, responses become minimal to the point of being almost non-responses. Your messages that used to get thoughtful replies now get 1 or 2 words. Okay? Sure. Fine. Questions that used to generate actual answers now get acknowledgements without information. You ask, how was your day? Used to get a real answer. Now gets good. You ask, what do you think about this? Used to get his actual perspective. Now gets whatever you think. You share something about your life. Used to get engagement. Now gets cool. Most people interpret this as him being busy or distracted. He's just stressed with work. He's going through something. He'll be more engaged when things calm down. That's not what's happening. He's systematically reducing his investment in communication with you. He's pulling back his energy. He's minimizing his presence in your life gradually, so the final disappearance isn't as abrupt. This is the warning. When a Sigma male goes from substantive communication to minimal acknowledgements, he's telling you that you no longer have real access to him. You have surface access only. And surface access is temporary. He's not being rude. He's not trying to hurt you. He's just already emotionally exited the relationship. And his communication reflects that. The shortened responses are him creating distance before he creates absence. He's weaning you off his presence, so when he's completely gone, you've already adjusted to having less of him. If you notice this pattern, if his responses have suddenly become minimal after being substantial, that's your warning. He's in the exit process. You're losing him in increments. And soon you'll lose him completely. Third warning is about time. Specifically, how he stops making any plans that include you in the future. When a Sigma male is still invested in having you in his life, he'll make plans that include you, not necessarily far in the future. Sigma males don't plan extensively ahead for social commitments, but there's an assumption of ongoing presence. We should check out that restaurant. Let me know when you're free next month. I'll send you that book recommendation. Small things that assume continued contact. When he's decided to cut you off, all future planning stops, completely. You suggest doing something next week. He gives vague, non-committal responses. Maybe. We'll see. I'll let you know. You mention something coming up that you'd normally do together. He doesn't engage with the assumption you'll both be there. You try to plan anything beyond the immediate present. He redirects or avoids committing. Most people don't notice this immediately because it's subtle. He's not refusing plans. He's just not making them. He's keeping everything vague and uncommitted. This is the warning. When a Sigma male stops including you in any forward-looking plans, even casual ones, he's telling you that he doesn't see you in his future. He's already decided that your access to him has an expiration date. He doesn't know exactly when that date is yet, but he knows it's coming. So he's not making promises or plans he knows he won't keep. This is actually considerate from his perspective. He's not creating expectations he'll violate. He's not setting up future commitments he'll break. He's just quietly not building a future that includes you. If you notice that all plans have become immediate and nothing extends beyond the next few days, pay attention. That's him telling you that you don't have long-term access anymore. You have temporary access that he's preparing to revoke. Fourth warning is emotional. His emotional range in interactions with you becomes completely flat. When Sigma males are engaged with someone, they don't perform emotion. But they do have emotional responses. Subtle ones, quiet ones, but present. Something genuinely good happens to you. There's a flicker of positive response. Something bad happens. There's acknowledgement and maybe support. You share something meaningful. There's engaged reception. When they're preparing to cut you off, all emotional responsiveness disappears. Good news gets neutral acknowledgement. Bad news gets the same neutral acknowledgement. Everything gets the same flat, even response regardless of content. You got a promotion. That's good. Same tone as if you told him you had toast for breakfast. You're dealing with a serious problem. That's tough. Same energy as if you mentioned it might rain. You share something deeply personal. I understand. Same emotional temperature as if you commented on the weather. Most people interpret this as depression or stress. He's going through something. He's emotionally shut down temporarily. He'll be back to normal soon. That's not what's happening. He's not depressed. He's detached, specifically from you. He's withdrawn all emotional investment in your life, your experiences, your feelings. This flatness is the warning. When a Sigma male stops having any emotional response to anything you share, when everything gets the same neutral acknowledgement regardless of significance, he's telling you that he no longer cares. Not in an angry way, not in a hurt way, just in a complete absence of investment way. He's already removed his emotional presence from the relationship. His physical presence and communication presence will follow. But the emotional presence is gone first. And that's what the flatness is signaling. If you notice that nothing you say generates any emotional response anymore, if everything is met with the same neutral acknowledgement, that's your warning. He's emotionally exited. And physical exit is coming. 5. The final conversation. The fifth and most definitive warning is the final conversation. And most people don't recognize it as final while it's happening. At some point, before a Sigma male cuts you off completely, there's usually one last real conversation. One moment where he's actually present, actually engaged, actually communicating substantively. And in that conversation, he'll often articulate clearly what the problems are, what his boundaries are, what he needs, what isn't working. He's not doing this expecting change. He's already decided to cut you off. This conversation is his way of leaving with integrity, making sure you had clear information before he disappeared, giving you the full picture so you can't say you didn't know. Most people hear this conversation as negotiation. He's telling me what's wrong so I can fix it. If I just address these issues, things will go back to normal. That's not what's happening. He's telling you what's wrong as a courtesy, as documentation, as closure for himself. But he's not negotiating. He's not asking for change. He's explaining before he exits. The tone of this conversation is usually calm, clear, complete. There's no anger, no pleading, no emotional manipulation, just facts delivered neutrally. I've needed more space than you're willing to give. I've communicated that multiple times. It hasn't changed, so I'm making a different choice. You keep violating boundaries I've clearly stated. I don't think you're doing it maliciously, but I also don't think it's going to change. So I'm choosing differently. This dynamic isn't sustainable for me. I've tried to adjust it. It hasn't adjusted. So I'm removing myself from it. Clear, factual, final. Most people respond to this conversation by promising change. I'll give you more space. I'll respect your boundaries. I'll adjust the dynamic. And the Sigma male will usually acknowledge these promises neutrally. Okay, I hear you. We'll see. But he's already decided. This conversation wasn't an invitation to change. It was a closing statement. After this conversation, there will usually be a brief period where nothing dramatic happens. Days, maybe a week or two. Everything seems normal on the surface. Then he's gone, completely. No dramatic exit, no big fight, no emotional scene, just gone. Messages go unanswered, calls don't connect, plans dissolve. He's removed himself from your life entirely. And you'll think back to that final conversation and realize, that was him telling me goodbye. I just didn't recognize it. The final conversation is the loudest warning a Sigma male gives. If he has a calm, clear, complete conversation where he articulates exactly what isn't working, and there's a quality of finality to it, even though he's not explicitly saying goodbye, pay attention. That's him closing the loop, making sure you understood, giving you the full picture before he exits. After that conversation, you have very little time days at most, and then he'll be gone permanently. What happens if you miss all the warnings? Here's what happens when you miss all 5 warnings. When you don't recognize the sudden calmness, the shortened responses, the stopped future planning, the emotional flatness, and the final conversation for what they are. He disappears. Completely. Permanently. No explanation beyond what he already gave in the final conversation. No second chances. No dramatic confrontation. No closure conversation. Just absence. Your messages go unanswered. Your calls go to voicemail. If you reach out on multiple platforms, he blocks you. If you try to see him in person, he's not available. He's removed you from his life with the same quiet efficiency he does everything else. And here's the part that destroys most people. He won't come back. Not if you apologize. Not if you promise to change. Not if you actually do change. Not if you give him space and try again later. When a Sigma male cuts you off after giving these warnings, the decision is permanent. He already gave you the warning. He already gave you the information. He already gave you the chance to adjust. The fact that you didn't recognize the warnings or take them seriously confirmed his decision. You can't negotiate your way back in. You can't logic your way back in. You can't emotion your way back in. The door is closed, locked, and he's not on the other side anymore because he's moved on completely. This isn't punishment. This isn't revenge. This isn't him being cold or cruel. This is him protecting his own boundaries, energy, and peace. He gave clear warnings. They weren't received. So he executed his exit. Most people who've been cut off by a Sigma male spend months or years trying to understand what happened. Replaying the relationship. Looking for the moment it went wrong. And if they're honest and observant, they'll eventually see all 5 warnings. The calmness, the shortened responses, the stopped planning, the emotional flatness, the final conversation. They were all there, clear as day, just not packaged in the dramatic, obvious way most people expect warnings to come. How to respond if you're seeing these warnings now. If you're currently seeing these warnings in a Sigma male in your life, here's what you need to understand. You probably don't have much time. Days, maybe a week or 2. The exit is coming. You have 2 choices. First choice, acknowledge what's happening. Have a direct conversation. I've noticed you've become distant. I recognize I've been violating boundaries you've set. I understand if you're done. But if there's any chance to adjust this dynamic, I want to know what that would require. Be direct, be honest, be non-emotional. Don't promise changes you can't sustain. Don't make emotional appeals. Just acknowledge reality and ask clearly if there's a path forward. He'll tell you. Either there is or there isn't. If there is, he'll articulate exactly what would need to change. If there isn't, he'll tell you that too. Then you decide. Can you actually make those changes? Not, will you try? Can you actually sustain them long term? If yes, make them immediately. Not gradually, not eventually. Immediately. And sustain them. If you can do that, there's a possibility the exit gets cancelled. If no, accept it. Let him go with dignity. Don't fight. Don't plead. Don't try to negotiate. Just acknowledge that the relationship isn't sustainable and let it end cleanly. Second choice, do nothing. Miss the warnings. Continue the pattern that's causing the problem. And experience the permanent removal when it comes. Most people choose the second option. Not consciously. They just don't recognize the warnings as urgent. Don't take them seriously. Don't believe the Sigma male will actually follow through. Then he does. And they're shocked. Because they didn't think it was that serious. It was that serious. The warnings were real. They were just quiet. If you're a Sigma male who's given these warnings before cutting someone off, Drop a comment with warned and tell me which signal you gave most clearly. If you missed these warnings and got cut off by a Sigma male, share which signal you now realize you should have recognized. And if you're currently seeing these warnings in a Sigma male in your life, take them seriously. You don't have much time. Act now or accept the permanent removal that's coming. Until next time, pay attention to the quiet warnings.